Welcome to the first, what would be this? Webisode?
Something like that.
Something like that? Okay, welcome to the first something pilot of Shit We Say. So basically, you just listen, you just listen to what we say, and if you don't like it, you just leave the page, I guess. Nothing really matters. But, I don't know, we'll see how long this goes for. I'm John.
Bobby.
Yeah, we don't know what the hell we're doing. This was an idea I came up with, and Bobby was all for it. I secretly recorded him yesterday. He knew. Somewhat. Heads up, he is playing FIFA at the same time. There will be yelling and a lot of chatter.
I'm one out, by the way.
What? Switch it from easy mode to something, you know.
No, it's on world class.
Oh, bragger. Anyways.
Any topics lined up?
Topics. I should have prepared more of them. I knew them all before getting to Bobby's house, and now that I'm here, I can't think of any of them. Had I recorded maybe 20 minutes before, that we already went through 5 of them.
It's a work in progress.
It is. Eventually, when we jump onto a topic, is when it actually is going to get interesting.
And when we get the rest of the gang here, it'll be a lot funnier.
Yeah. Between Bobby and I, we are, you could say, the oldest of this little group of ours. And, I don't know, our jokes mesh better.
Yeah.
We have moments.
It's a generational thing sometimes.
Yeah. And it's not even that big. I think it's just where our attention was based. We have a better sense of humor. It's less racist. Bobby here is trying to save as much money because there has been a certain change of events in his life that he has to save as much money as he can to do what he's planning. Maybe we'll say what it is, maybe we won't. But for now, we're just going to say that it is a major turn of events in his life.
And it's a good thing.
Silence. Sorry. He's playing FIFA at the same moment, and you know that thing where you just make not eye contact, but contact with the screen, and it's just so mesmerizing, you just get lost in it.
Well, I was playing some beautiful football.
Yeah. If I knew how to record off it, no, I know how to record. I don't have the equipment to record off the TV, or else I'd have this being thrown up at the same time. So your eyes would be entertained as much as your ears are suffering at this moment.
It'll be something for the future.
Yeah.
It'd make things more interesting if we put it on YouTube.
Yeah.
So wonder what the comments are going to be like.
Oh, they're just gonna rip. I can say this. What the fuck are we watching or listening to right now?
Yeah.
I'm using an app on an iPad to do this, and I was being really picky. I was going through page. I'm like, which is the best audio recording I can find? And yeah, this is what it is. It has a lot of different dials and movements, and the microphone. It has microphone sensitivity, input gain. I have no idea how to use half of this. I don't know how this is going to sound. It probably sound different. Distance. Words. Distant. Or it could be hypersensitive, and you can hear the TV, and you can hear the second TV in another room. This is not a soundproof room, it's a basement.
Day after shooting in Ottawa.
Oh. Yeah, that's crazy. How old was he? 25
I have no clue, but I don't think he was old.
No, if I can remember what I saw on Reddit, it said he was 25 and had a daughter that's 6 years old. Mm-hmm. And, what type of... It's a flurry of emotions right now. And... Sorry, again, I was caught by the TV. Very bad, as this is a sensitive topic, too. But yeah.
And this just after another terrorist attack.
Yeah, another Canadian got shot.
And, both in the military.
Yeah.
And the only thing that the two murderers had in common were that I believe they were both converts to Islam.
Yeah.
And
It's giving that religion such a bad rap. And what I hate about it is, let's see if I can find the proper word for this. It's religious. I'm not an English major, and English wasn't my strongest subject back in school. Religious ignorance, I want to say, when people, like, they don't know anything about a religion. And just because of certain actions people are doing, they're blaming it. Because if you look back at Catholicism, where I used to be a practicing Catholic, I am right now agnostic. I can't say
agnostic.
Yeah. Leaning on the side of atheism, but I can't completely accept atheism. There's just something it's just not right. That, or I'm just indecisive and I want to be on the safe side. But they're just getting blamed for everything, and Islam is actually a peaceful religion.
Yeah, as far as Abrahamic religions go, it's
Bobby took a religious studies course in college, so he knows what he's talking about.
It's peaceful, but there are peaceful aspects to it. There's always room for interpretation, and that's where shit can go wrong. But
think about the Templars with Catholicism, or in the Christian. It's just, are you a Christian? No. /
Yeah.
And the same, like in modern, it was back in the 40s, was World War II and Hitler and the Jews again. He killed Jews just because they were Jewish. Again, he was a Catholic. So it's, basically what I'm getting at here is people blaming this whole situation based on a religion when really it's just extremist actions. And you usually see it happen with the states because... Would you say the states is meddlesome?
Yeah, the states are meddlesome. They've been meddlesome since they became a country.
That's what happens when you leave the British Empire.
Well, the British were meddlesome too.
Oh,
they
but that was at the point of, like, discovery. The world wasn't completely discovered at a certain point.
Well, yeah, I guess they were meddlesome at a point where you could be meddlesome upright, and it was something that was just accepted.
Yeah.
Now it's something that's not really accepted, so it's hidden.
Yeah, when was the United Nations founded? That's when stuff started to find... Before United Nations, there was another one. And then United Nations was created. And that's when things started to get a bit more controlled, even though there are some countries that are not participating, and we still have 2 countries or 3 countries in this world that are under communist rule. Mm-hmm. Well, no, let me correct myself. It is the People's Republic, Democratic Republic of China, mm-hmm. and North Korea. They also call themselves a democratic society, don't they?
Yeah, they're both.
Cuba's just like, no, we're communists.
Yeah,
we're not beating around the bush here. Democracy is, the way I see it, just a word now. Like, nothing's a democratic society.
No,
the people are nowhere in charge here.
If we had a complete democracy, it would be chaos.
Mm-hmm. In a perfect world, it would... What did they say? The perfect government is socialism, but it fails because it turns into communism.
Yeah, I could see that. Well, you could argue that a perfect world would be communist.
Oh, I thought the dog was down here. Your foot just...
No, the dog's freaking out because, guess what? Today is Diwali.
Yeah,
and
happy Diwali, people. By the time you listen to this, it'll be the, I don't know when, so we'll just stick with Happy Diwali.
Yeah, it's
Firework fest.
Very hectic in our neck of the woods right now, so sweets are good. I like the Indian sweets. Very mithai, very delicious.
What's mithai?
Mithais are the Indian sweets.
Oh, okay. Again... No, it's funny. I was actually in the Bay today.
Yeah. And
they had a little section, and I don't know how, it looked like soaps. These little colorful balls in a plate.
Oh, it's the mithai.
Oh, okay. There we go.
Yeah, but there's probably hundreds, if not more, different kinds of it. And some of them you'll like, some of them you might not like. Some are dry, some are wet. With different types of sauces or syrups, basically they're just sweet. Italians and Portuguese and Greeks all have similar sweets. That it's pretty much sugar and
It's just
sugar.
it's just bad for you, so it's so good. I was gonna say, yeah, I was at the Bay and at one little table, and I thought they were candles or like something like that, and I'm like, a little kid's gonna run around, see these things, they're colorful, they look good, and they're gonna eat it, and I'm like, they're gonna eat wax. Till I saw on the table beside it, they had oh my god, I had the word little triangle things that are rather made of meat or potato.
Samosas?
Samosas. They had samosas and napkins. So I'm like, oh, so the other one must be food. It's bad to say, but I wish I was more like. I don't wish I was blind. But when you see food and you see it's not appealing, it kind of takes away from when you eat it. At least for me, in that sense, I think that's what like blind people, they have heightened senses, so they can enjoy food. I think a lot more than we can. And
I think that all comes to from what you're used to, right?
Yeah.
If you're used to eating samosas or other foods, then when you see it, if you like it, then when you see it, you probably have a good response to it. You find it appetizing. But if it's something you're not used to, you might not find it appetizing.
But it also works like I would never eat oxtail because I know how an ox looks like.
Yeah.
And it's like, for these guys, a pig could look like a chicken for all they know. They can't tell the difference. To us, we can tell the difference. We know what a chicken looks like. It's that feathery little thing that runs around. That actually has no natural predator. It dies more. Its natural cause of death right now is us killing it. And I'm fine with that. I don't watch those documentaries for the sheer fact that I enjoy meat too much to be turned off from it. There was Food Inc. and so if you're on Reddit, you see random like clickbait. You click it and you see chicks being grinded up in a funnel, and that won't stop me from eating chicken nuggets.
Yeah, see that's odd. That's it's because you're so used to chicken nuggets. I think that it's not. It doesn't seem odd to you, even though you know what it's really made of.
Yeah.
It's probably cleaner. It's probably worse than eating oxtail.
Yeah.
But you don't mind it as much. It's funny. And then sometimes I think a part of it is also genetic. Like some people are just pickier than others.
Yeah.
About that kind of stuff, because my cousins, they're all much pickier than us. Same with my sibling. They're all pickier than I am. But we were raised in a similar fashion.
Yeah.
Liz, she's was raised in a culture where they eat some food that might be considered odd to people who are raised in Canada, to other cultures.
Yeah.
But she doesn't like any of it.
Really?
Yeah.
That's hilarious. I never knew that.
And I was raised in a culture where most people wouldn't eat that sort of thing, and I love it. So it's funny how these things work sometimes. I've always had a weird taste for food. I'm sort of adventurous when it comes to food. So
have you ever heard of that the blind restaurant? It's completely pitch black.
wait, the restaurant's blind?
No,
Or the people are blind?
I actually think the servers are blind. So when you go in,
I hope they're not serving soup.
they're used to it. That's a mean thing to say. Anyways, the whole restaurant is blacked out. So you walk into the restaurant, the back door closes, you go through the next door, there is no light. The only light there is one that's in the washroom, and it's just candlelit. And it's completely black. And when you go to see the menu, there's no light. They're numbered, and you can get the server to tell you what's on the menu. It's all written in Braille. There's no other way to distinguish it, and you can't see what you're eating. They place it in front of you. You get your drink, you get everything, and you got to do it blind. There is no light. Cell phones are restricted.
Wow.
Yeah. I heard about it then. I heard a friend of Jennifer's, that's my girlfriend, went and said it was a very interesting experience, a one-time thing. When someone tells me something and I don't know the answer to it, or I want to know more about it, I will sit there and I will search the internet. And my biggest resource is Wikipedia. And that is such an unreliable source.
Yeah, it's a kind of terrible resource.
Yeah.
But sometimes it's not.
No. It all depends on what you're really looking at. If you're just looking for the general idea of something, it can help. But if you're going to look through specifics, like I hate people that use WebMD to try and diagnose something that they have.
Oh, that's terrible. Is it always cancer?
Always. And I used to think that was a joke until lately my mother had a pain and she went on WebMD, and she's not that too tech savvy. And she went on WebMD and she's like, yeah, I have cancer. And I'm like, number one, they tell you a list of possibilities what it is on there. And cancer is usually the bottom one. Because, hell, if it's not any of these things, you have cancer. You have all the symptoms for it. Which, number one, I can see why the WebMD is out there, but at the same time, it's not that useful of a tool. If people are claiming ignorance to an illness or an injury, then yeah. But then people actually think they're doctors, and they read this like, oh no, I know I have this because I have all the symptoms. I need this type of medication. And Canada, we're pretty strict with our medication, actually. We are actually a very over-medicated society.
Oh yeah, in general, we're terrible for that.
Yeah. My father's actually taken medication for his heart, and the doctor said he's completely healthy, but just to be careful, take this heart medication. And he's been taking the heart medication, and it makes him dizzy as hell. He crouches over, he gets up, and he works with me, and he gets dizzy. He has to stand there for around 15 seconds in order to get his bearings again. And in our line of work, it's not good. And he's been starting to cut the pills in half and taking half dosage. And he's told his doctor, and the doctor's like, no, don't worry, it'll go away, and it hasn't. It's been like 6-8 months now.
Yeah, no, they definitely push a lot of medications on us, and the sad part is that the representatives from the medications company, I had a professor at school who talked about this. He worked in that field for a while. He went into doctor's offices, and usually the people who work in that line are attractive people. And
it's kind of funny because I watched that movie with Anne Hathaway. You see her boobs in that movie. Love and Other Drugs.
I haven't seen it.
No, on the same premise, he sells medication or he's the guy that goes to the doctors to try and sell a medication, and it's, what's his face, a Canadian actor.
Haven't seen that either.
Ryan Gosling, I think his name is.
Oh, I know him.
Breaker High.
Breaker High.
Yeah, so he's the guy selling it, so you got an attractive guy trying to sell this stuff. But yeah, you were saying?
Yeah, well, so he basically worked in that field for years and years, and then felt that what he was doing was wrong. He's selling medications, or giving medications to doctors who would give them to patients who don't really need them.
Yeah.
And that was the end of that. That's how we became a professor. We went back to school and did that. But it's interesting how that field works. How these companies are allowed to push medications we don't need, and and it's even worse that the doctors who have their licenses, who are supposed to be looking out for our health, give us these medications. It's sick and twisted.
Yeah. That also brings another thing to mind is holistic type medicines. Are you much of a believer in that?
Some yes and some no, and I think that they should do more studies on them, but they don't because
there's no money in it.
There's no money in it. Sometimes there is. I mean, there's some stuff that has been proven to work, and like some medications are just high concentrations of natural things that occur naturally, but some things do work. Maybe not as well and not as quickly as the medications, but they're a whole lot better for you.
Yeah. Again, I don't know much about medications. Generally, I know that we are a very overly medicated society, and I've tried some of the natural type remedies that are, because I'm a migraine sufferer, so I take Advil like crazy. It's the only thing that stops it. And then I've also have a Migral or something like that, which I got from Argentina. Which here it is a prescription medication. You do need to go to a doctor. They got to give it to you. And when I was visiting in Argentina, and I had a headache, I had a migraine, and they didn't have Advil, and they went to the doctor, and they got me Migral. And I took it, and in 15 minutes, I was 100% back to normal. And it's just amazing, like, you can get that type of medication, just like, oh yeah, just take this, and you'll be better. But I tried everything, like, natural. I once had a person try to tell me, go the natural path with it. And it failed miserably.
Yeah, with some certain conditions, there's nothing you can do about it. My mom used to be a migraine sufferer, but it went away. It
can happen.
Yeah.
It's happened in cases. Mine, they have lessened. Thing is, you can tell when a migraine is coming. There's clear-cut signs from it to a normal headache. And yeah, it's just, it's mostly around the temples. It's a blood swelling, so it puts pressure onto the nerves. And when it hits around the temples, it usually affects your eyesight and all sorts of things. So
it hits a lot of nerves as well sometimes.
Yeah, it's all swelling.
Sometimes it's caused by the sinus too, isn't it?
Yep, through sinuses. And I suffer from nasal polyps, so I got those removed and they came back.
See, I think there's a correlation or possibly even a cause and effect relation, because there's my mom had the same thing. She had migraines and she had nose polyps.
Polyps,
That's what they're called. And a friend of mine, his mother, she just had surgery. I think it was for her sinus, and it might have been polyps as well. So I guess there is a relationship between the two.
Yeah. Nasal polyps isn't fun. I don't have all my taste. I got it removed. They came spontaneously. Don't know how it happened. I had it for around a year, maybe close to 2 years. Went to the doctor, and I said, like, I can't breathe out of my... What nostril was it? Left nostril? Yeah, it's my left nostril. And sometimes I can breathe, and sometimes I can't through that nostril. So I forget. But yeah, it was my left nostril, and they said, oh, you have sinusitis. And they gave me just a medication for it. I said, it's not sinusitis. I feel something inside. And I have such disgusting stories about that, which I will share. I remember one day, I couldn't, the polyp had swelled up to a point where it was just massive inside my nose, and I couldn't breathe. And this is a time when I used to go running every day. So I was going to go running, but I was hungry, so I was eating, I was going to go running, but I couldn't breathe out of my nose, so I was sitting down and I was just watching TV, and I was eating a bowl of cereal. And my parents were in the kitchen, and so I'm eating it, and when my mouth was full of food, I had to sneeze. So there was nowhere to relieve the pressure. So I sneezed, and the polyp burst.
Oh no.
And it was blood and mucus with a mix of milk coming out of my nose.
Oh my god.
And it's all in my mouth now. And I'm like, this is rather going to go all over the floor, or I got to swallow. And I did the porn star thing. I swallowed.
Oh my god.
But it was the most amazing feeling after I could breathe. Oh my god. Oh wait, right nostril. That's the right nostril. I can't breathe through it right now. But yeah, it was, and then it burst, and then through time it grew back, and when I went to go to the specialist, he shoved a camera. Maybe, every time I imagine it, it gets longer and longer. I had a sex joke somewhere in there. But it gets longer and longer. And it realistically, maybe it was a 2-foot mechanism that maybe went into, like they put it through your nose. And it probably goes in maybe 6 to 8 inches. And I can't imagine, like, how is that even possible? And what he did was he put it through the nostril, and he tells you, be calm and breathe normally. Breathe through your mouth. And he put it in there, and he went into my sinus cavity and looked inside and said it was full. And he's like, I'm going to have to take a look at the other nostril. So then he puts it in the other nostril. You feel this thing crawling through your head, and it looks inside your side. And he's like, no. He's like, I'm going to check your throat. I'm like, he's going to put this thing down my mouth? That's disgusting. No. He pulls it back a little bit, twists it, and then goes through where the air would go through when you breathe through your nose, down my throat. So now I got this thing that was potentially like in my nostrils and everything, in my throat. Oh, wow. And he checked there and then pulled it out. It smells like mercury after that. It's a smell that's stinging in my nose till today. And yeah, it was the most disturbing, most god-awful feeling ever. But they removed it, which I went to the hospital, and they put me to sleep, and basically what they put is, again, something that looks like that camera, but on the end of it has a drill bit with a hole through the middle with a vacuum. So they kind of grind it all up, and then it sucks through the middle. And wow. they clean all your nose, and they do everything, while they also, then they check it with the camera, then they go out, and they clean it again. And they just, grind it all up in your nose, and they take it out. For 1 week, you have to be in bed rest, and then for the second week you have to be extremely careful. Have to use like the nasal cleaner type, some type of fluid, saline water, and not to blow your nose or tilt your head forward for at least 3 days after surgery, because blood would just pour out. So you have gauze around your nose the entire time.
Oh, that sounds awful.
Huh?
Sounds awful.
Yeah. And you're on like Tylenol 3. Did they give me Tylenol 3 or Oxycontin? One of the two.
Oxycontin.
Probably. I remember it got me so goddamn loopy. So I think it was Oxycontin because I've had Tylenol 3 before for other types of injuries. And yeah, that stuff just sent you for a trip. I can see how people get addicted to that. Like it just makes you limp and weak. Oh, I remember one of the topics I had. It was that camping trip we had. I'll save that for the next one.
No.
It involves, just remember, it involves shitting in a fridge.
Oh. It's one of your shitting stories.
Yeah.
There's a
something with me and taking a shit. And it's always hilarious. It always ends up with people laughing, and I bring people together with my shit.
Yeah, you have some...
Some magical shit?
Yeah, some magical shit.
And, I think that's where we're going to end it, with magical shit. And, this is shit we say, and this is basically the premise of how this is going to go. Won't go today. We got actually deep and dark and very into science. When the other guys come in, it's going to be nowhere close to this.
Yeah, we'll see how it goes. Well, hopefully we can get one of the other guys at least here. If not, it'll be us two again.
Yeah.
We'll try and do one at least once. How often?
I don't know, once a week, once every 2 weeks, something like that.
Yeah.
As per frequency, there's going to be very difficult right now. But yeah, going to end it off here. I'm John.
Bobby.
And happy shitting.